power of sports.
We welcome you back to Holiday Hoops, presented by Zales, Mohegan Sun Arena in Uncasville, Connecticut. Already today, we've seen St. John's hold off St. Joe's in Game 1 of our Hall of Fame Holiday Showcase doubleheader. Game 2 is an American Conference, Big East Conference clash. The 9-2 Houston Cougars taking on the 8-3 Providence Friars. Once again, Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you, Kevin Connors, former Friars head coach Tim Welsh. Two teams with very legit NCAA tournament aspirations, Tim, and getting ready to watch one of the best scorers in America, Houston guard Rob Gray.
Well, Rob Gray, Kevin, can make it happen in a lot of different ways for Kelvin Sampson's group. He makes things happen off the bounce. He is acrobatic with great body control in the lane, can knock down jumpers from the perimeter. And this season, to Kelvin Sampson's liking, is getting his teammates more involved.
He is an electrifying scorer, Rob Gray. Had a career-high 37 earlier this season against Drexel. Providence, Tim, has been besieged by injury. 4 major contributors are banged up, including their general, Kyron Cartwright.
Well, Kyron Cartwright, when he plays well, Providence usually wins. And tonight he will come off the bench, maybe. He went through a shoot-around workout earlier today. He looked okay, but he didn't look 100%. And Alpha Diallo looked even worse than that. So Ed Cooley has been dealing with this for the last couple of weeks. He's getting a lot of experience now from his bench, but he certainly could use his floor general, Cartwright, to be right.
We take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Zales. Rodney Bullock went over 1,000 career points earlier this season in a win against Boston College. He's a 2017 All-Big East second-team selection. And again, Rob Gray leads the way for the Houston Cougars at better than 20 points per game.
Ed Cooley in shoot-around today really talked to his team about controlling the tempo of this game and being extra physical.
Here's Isaiah Jackson. Good up and under move, swatted away, knocked out of bounds by Breon Brady.
Nice block by Brady, and Brady has given Kelvin Sampson some good minutes, especially defensively.
So look at the Houston starting lineup. Devin Davis, transfer out of Indiana, coming into this game at 13 points, 7.5 rebounds per game. He went for 28 and 10 earlier this season in a big-time win over Arkansas.
And one of the keys to Houston this year, not only Rob Gray, but Devin Davis being healthy, and he has really kick-started the season for Houston.
Here's Devin Davis way off the mark, and the rebound into the arms of Mekhi Ashton Langford.
Ashton Langford really getting some nice minutes, running the team, still learning how to pass first, and he can really get to the rim and find his own shot.
How does Ed Cooley want to manage this game?
He wants to manage it just like you're watching, just like when he was an assistant for Al Skinner at Boston College. A tight flex and really control the offense and the shot clock.
Bullock's up and under is off the mark. Nate Watson misfires, and a couple of empty trips for Providence to start this game.
Houston's going to play the way they always play. They are going to push it and attack quickly, a lot of dribble handoffs, space the court, and let Rob Gray do his thing.
Houston 8-1 in their last 9 games, 9-2 overall in the season. Providence has not played well lately, but they've managed to win some games, and the Cougars turn it over. And look at Ed Cooley now in his 7th season as head coach of Providence, 15th coach in program history. 4 straight trips to the NCAA tournament.
Well, Eddie's had, see that energy he has right now. He had that earlier today at shoot-around. He was barking right from the get-go at his guys.
He may be barking at him right here after the turnover and a Galen Robinson layup to break the ice.
Yeah, that's one of his strengths, so Ed Cooley, when you talk about 4 straight tournaments, just an unbelievable job he's done with the program, getting them to that level. And Kelvin Sampson, you cannot doubt that he is a proven winner. Ed Cooley said to me today, this guy is one of the best coaches we'll face all season long.
Sweet stroke that time by Rodney Bullock.
Well, Rodney Bullock earlier in the season was not playing well for Providence, and maybe more inconsistently than they needed him to play early. But as of late, he has been very aggressive as a scorer.
Robinson. And here's Ashton Langford at a few too many steps that time.
That's where Ashton Langford, what we talked about before, learning how to manage a team. And then there's Kelvin, looking sharp as always. Probably bought that tie One of those expensive shops in Mohegan Sun this morning.
Maybe you're right. Of course, that tie would have worked with his time as an assistant with the Houston Rockets. His most recent stop before taking over the Houston program. He's already in his 4th year now. Two-time National Coach of the Year as Corey Davis Jr. strokes a 3, giving the Cougars the lead.
Well, he is their best perimeter threat and great addition. And this 3-guard look is really tough to defend. They space the court. They move the ball very quickly. That's Davis. He doesn't need much room.
And a whistle away from the ball, and an offensive foul called on the Friars. Here's another look at Davis.
Corey Davis, you've got to get up on him and be tight. You see Lindsay a little bit too far off on the perimeter. And the matchups tonight are really interesting. What Ed Cooley's going to do with Gray. You see right now, though, he's going to play that big zone at the top.
Foul last time was called on Bullock as Gray misfires on his first shot. Big wide body, Breon Brady, the offensive board. And the Friars look to go the other way.
The thing you like about Ed Cooley as a coach is he will vary his game plan from team to team, and depending on what he has and what he's dealing with, the injuries. So you're seeing him play the zone. He doesn't like, he told me today, I don't like to play the zone, but we're going to play it because we're shorthanded and we think it's the best defense to play against Houston.
Nice looking feed down low, and Nate Watson thunders a chip home and a chance for a 3-point play.
Nice looking feed to even a nicer looking player. How about this freshman? The power, the acceleration, the great hands, and the grace in the middle.
Nate Watson, the freshman out of Arlington, Virginia. Foul was called on Corey Davis. 6'10", 260-pound freshman.
I was standing in the lobby of the hotel with Ed Cooley, and he got off the elevator earlier this morning, and he said to me, he said, "Coach, look at this guy. I love him."
Block out the sun there in Uncasville. Three-pointer into the arms of Ashton Langford. Attempt to knock out of bounds. Looked like it may have been off Houston last. The officials will get together and flesh that out. 5-5 in the early going.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Basketball Hall of Fame, where the game never ends. And Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
Second half of our Holiday Hall of Fame Holiday Showcase. Providence and Houston, and that last possession, Tim Welsh, looked like it may have been off the arm of Breon Brady.
Yeah, there a little discussion during the break, and Ed Cooley looks like he got his point across.
You can see the rotation of the ball change, and it will stay Providence basketball. The Providence team picked to finish 4th overall in the preseason Big East coaches poll, but Tim, that was before a lot of the injuries happened, and this team is really hurting right now.
Clement Hole is a huge loss before the season even started. Just he's a forward that can really get his own shot out there on the floor and causes a lot of matchup problems, but then you compound that with Cartwright and Diallo, and also Malik White's a nice player as well, and you know, they're dealing with it. Kelvin Sampson's dealt with it in the last couple of years. They're pretty whole right now, and these teams look pretty evenly matched right out of the gate.
Ed Cooley said just once I'd like to coach the team that I recruited the full complement of players. He feels like it hasn't really happened in his tenure at Providence. How does Houston attack that zone?
Well, they've got to get the ball in the middle of the floor and then try to reverse it and see if Gray can find some angles on the perimeter.
Here is Rob Gray, in and out and into the arms of Ashton Langford. Already he has 3 rebounds. Bullock tries a 3. Here's Bullock again, some contact, and Rodney Bullock finishes.
Watching Rodney Bullock at shoot-around today, it looked like he had a little bounce in his step and that he's feeling better about his role on this team. And sometimes that's hard to define, even as a senior, you know, what type of player you're supposed to be. And Ed Cooley told me, listen, I think Rodney's in a very good place right now because he's being aggressive, but he's also being a good team player.
He missed the entire 2013-2014 season. He suffered a leg injury. He had 31 rebounds as a senior at Compton High School in a single game. Rob Gray, the American Conference leading scorer. Nice looking feed that time, and Nurazana lays it up and in.
Well, that's how you attack a zone. You space the floor, you reverse the ball quickly, and then attack the gaps and penetrate before the zone can shift.
Lefty jump shot by Khalif Young, who has struggled throughout this young season. And the Cougars go the other way.
Young's a big body, gives him some depth up front. But Watson's a keeper, the guy they like in the middle to throw the ball to on the box.
Here's Ashton Langford the whole way. His shot rims out.
Well, you see Langford, he's forced on a couple issues where he doesn't have the numbers. He doesn't have an advantage, but he still forces the issue trying to get the shot off.
Whistle and a foul called on Drew Edwards. Well, Providence last time out actually trailed by double digits in the second half against Stony Brook, Tim, before Rodney Bullock hit a pair of free throws with 0.6 seconds to go to kind of rescue victory from a precarious situation.
You just got to find a way to get those bye game wins, and they beat Brown almost the same way. And the Belmont game, the heroics of Kyron Cartwright were just out of this world with the three right at the buzzer to win that game. And the Ryder game was also tough, but they found a way to win. I mean, they're teetering on the edge of a 500 season, but they're not. And that's how you turn kind of okay seasons into really good seasons, by just finding a way to win those type of games.
Houston didn't have it easy the last time out either. They were in a dogfight with Prairie View, who actually led by a point with 11:13 to go. Three-pointer way off the mark by Lindsay, but a good second effort by Bullock ties this game up again.
Well, again, he's the important piece, especially with Cartwright not playing right now, just to be a guy that can go get baskets, not only from the perimeter, but show some toughness in the lane.
Raised pass, intercepted, and a whistle and a foul. It's on Zana.
It was really good defense on that possession by Drew Edwards coming in off the bench. The sophomore doing a nice job, but Gray trying to find the lane and find the angle to get into the lane, but good ball pressure forcing the turnover.
I'd say through the first 7 minutes of this game, if you're Ed Cooley, you got to like where you are right now.
You do. In a couple turnovers by or 4 shots by Ashton Langford, and in the half court they've been pretty solid.
Here's Bullock. Good head fake. Misfires on the 14-footer.
Importantly, Providence is getting back, getting their defense set, and not allowing Houston to get out in transition.
Wes Van Beck in the game for the first time. Crowd here inside Mohegan Sun wanted a traveling violation. Here's Gray behind a screen. Rob Gray all the way. And a blocking foul called on the Friars will send the leading scorer in the AAC to the free throw line.
Well, you cannot relax, Kevin, against Rob Gray, because even when you think you have him stop, and here, you think you have him stop, and then he finds a way to get around the defense and by that first and second defender and get all the way to the rim.
And Tim, a big development here. That's the second foul on Rodney Bullock, and so a thin lineup is getting even thinner for Ed Cooley.
Well, Diallo and Cartwright are available, and so far Ed has not gone to them, but we've seen him go to his injured players before out of desperation. Kyron Cartwright, he went to him in the second half of the Brown game, and he's glad he did, because that game went to overtime and they got the win.
Ray up to 4 points on the game after making both free throws, and the Cougars are back on top by 2. Free throw line jumper by Edwards.
There's that tight flex again where everybody's inside the three-point line, and Edwards came off ready to lock and load right at the elbow.
5th tie of this young game. It's 11-11. Under 12 minutes to go here from Uncasville, Connecticut.
See Providence's scheme defensively. They're giving a lot of help on Rob Gray.
Davis Jr. gives it up. Van Beck, an open look at a 3. Look at Zana Sky for that rebound. Van Beck to the floor. Jump ball situation, and it will stay with the Houston Cougars. Tight one early between Houston and Providence. Back at Mohegan Sun, Kevin Connors and Tim Welsh. Delighted to have you with us here as the Houston Cougars and Providence Friars are all tied up at 11. It's the 52nd anniversary, Tim, of the first and only meeting between Houston and Providence. 52 years ago today, these two schools met for the first and only time. And how about the fact that Elvin Hayes went for 33 and 18 in the only meeting between these schools?
The Big E went for 33 and 18 on a lot of people.
You're right. And the Cougars turn it over on the set inbound, and here comes Providence the other way. Isaiah Jackson, strong bucket, and he'll have a chance to finish off the three-point play.
Well, when you've got guys injured and key guys that are injured, you have to have your bench support step up and make plays. And Drew Edwards has done a nice job defensively, not only on Rob Gray, but here, just anticipating, and then the presence of mind to pitch it ahead to Jackson, and the power at the rim for the big fella.
He's gone for double figures 3 times already this season, and in a lot of ways, it's kind of all hands on deck right now for the Friars. Jackson can't complete the three-point play, but Providence opens up a 2-point lead.
Again, we were talking about how edgy Ed was today at shoot-around, and it's paying off. His team's playing with an edge right now.
Step back by Corey Davis Jr. That is a sharp-looking move.
Well, this is why this Houston team is going to be a threat in the American Conference, because Davis, Robinson, and Gray as a threesome, really dangerous on the perimeter.
Good enough to win the conference?
You know, with Wichita State and Cincinnati, I think they're just a level below those two, but I think they're going to give a lot of people a lot to think about all season long.
There's Ashton Langford, way too strong, and Cougars a chance to regain this lead.
Certainly the Arkansas win have a lot of people taking notice.
Well, one of those people, our pal Joey Brackett's Joe Lenardi, and we're so fortunate to have Joe with us here on the broadcast. Joe, how about the Houston Cougars? Where do they look right now in your look at bracketology?
Well, I think when you continue that conversation about Houston and the American, what strikes me when Tim mentions Wichita State and Cincinnati are the quality win opportunities that are going to be there for this team that maybe wouldn't be there in other seasons in the American. Throw in SMU, and you've definitely got a league that's overachieving in terms of potential NCAA bids.
You know, when you look at the American, what do you see as the next level besides Cincinnati, Wichita State, and Houston?
Well, I think SMU would be the next one in the pecking order, particularly their win this week over Boise State. Two teams that figure to be right on the bubble. And again, the others that are following, Temple, Houston, these are quality win opportunities that are going to be there in a league that plays a full double round robin. And that's not something we see much anymore in these mega conferences.
Isaiah Jackson's had the hot hand, giving the Friars a 2-point lead. Joe, how about the Big East overall? We talked about it in our first game, maybe a couple of missed opportunities here early in the season.
Yeah, a big scoop by winning that game and hanging on against St. Joseph's. St. John's is going to make an appearance when we repost and update the bracket on Thursday at ESPN.com. That'll bring the Big East back to 5 teams, but the likes of Butler and Providence are 2 teams that, at least from a league standpoint, you'd hope would bubble back up. But in the case of the Friars, they have to get healthy first.
Never too early to start talking about brackets, even if it is still only in late December. Joe Lenardi, many thanks and happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you, my friend.
You bet. We'll put an at-large bid in your stocking.
We like that. All right, Joe Lenardi. We always look forward to watching his bracketology. Gives us something to talk about here as we haven't even gone into 2018.
Well, we won't talk about it, but we know what at-large bid you want in your stocking, Kevin Connors. But listen, I saw Joe last night in the restaurant. I mentioned the first game. He doesn't even say hello when he sees you. I haven't seen the guy since last year. And he says, comes up to me, I'm watching a game on my phone, Syracuse and Buffalo. He goes, is there a chance I need to change my brackets tonight? Is there an upset going on in the Carrier Dome? And I said, okay, Joe, nice to see you too. Happy holidays, and go back to work.
It really is all business. It's suffocating at times. As Van Beck tries a three and knocks it down.
Well, that's one thing. You cannot relax. You can come out of the locker room with this bravado and toughness, but you have to stick to your game plan because Houston will keep attacking you, and they have a lot of weapons, Van Beck being another one.
They sure do. Van Beck went for a career-high 19 in a win over Wake Forest. Earlier this season, he exploited for 18 against Liberty. And here again, the deliberate set by the Friars. Content to milk some time off the clock, but an empty possession there.
It was a pretty good possession and decent look for Jackson, but Houston doing a nice job not giving in against that flex.
Here's Davis Jr. Kept alive by a skying Armani Brooks. Is this zone giving Houston trouble?
It's slowed them down, but they've been very patient, and that's what well-coached teams do. They don't let the pace of the game bother them. And Houston, you can see they want to play fast. They're on their toes, but they're still running their stuff.
Free throw line jumper by Devin Davis, the Indiana transfer. And it's back rim. Off ahead to the freshman Nate Watson, who couldn't corral it.
You see at the top of that zone now, Alpha Diallo has entered the game at 6'7", really long up at the top of the 2-3. So Ed Cooley feels confident enough to play him, give him a little warm-up with that angle.
Nice feed, good collection, and able to finish is Norazana.
That's
4 points now.
Tremendous execution, Kevin, getting the ball right into the middle and then going backside before the zone can shift.
You talked about the length on the defensive end for Diallo. What does he give them offensively?
Well, you know, he's a good all-around solid player. He can make shots from the three. He gets to the free throw line. He's a pretty good passer as well. He's just a consistent player. He's kind of one of those guys that can do a lot of different things. Nothing great, but very solid. But you see him laboring a little bit running back on defense.
He's been dealing with an ankle injury, as has Kyron Cartwright. And we have not seen Cartwright here yet in this game. Tie up, and the possession arrow goes to the Friars. Diallo and Providence trail by 3.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Zales. 'Tis the season to save and sparkle more than ever.
On the ESPN app, we've played 13 minutes. The largest lead of this game has been 3. And Tim Welsh, Ed Cooley's team has done a pretty good job on the leading scorer in the American Conference, Rob Gray.
They have, and they put giving him different looks. They've started with Jalen Lindsey at 6'7" on him, giving him some size. They also played some zone with some big size up top of the zone. And when he comes off those ball screens and dribble handoffs, they're sending a secondary defender at him to make sure that he does not get good angles to the rim.
Good opportunity for each of these teams to pick up a quality win. Providence has a pair this season against Power 5 conference teams, both Boston College and Washington on their resumes this season.
The games that Providence has struggled in their loss at UMass a little bit, their loss at Rhode Island as well, is that they turned the ball over. They played actually very well against an excellent Minnesota team to open the season. They hung in there for about 35 minutes, and then Minnesota pulled away at the end, and they're definitely a Sweet 16 type team. So Providence can get healthy, I think, and you see Cartwright in the game now, that I think they'll be a factor again in the top part of the Big East.
Here's Nate Watson in the paint. Foul on the floor, and it looks like it'll be on Chris Harris Jr.
Houston fouls on 15, Devin Davis.
Now Ed Cooley's team again picked to finish 4th in the preseason Big East coaches poll, and there are some heavyweights there above them right now in the standings.
You know, and DePaul is an improved team. You look at the bottom, I mean, they're not the DePaul we've seen in the last 5 to 10 years. They've got the new arena, so they've got new energy. So this league is, again, going to be one of the premier ones in the country.
Corner three by Armani Brooks. Sweet-looking stroke there, and Houston opens up a 6-point lead, part of an 8-0 run.
Well, Brooks is not a guy that's at the top of the scouting report, but he's another guy who comes in off the bench that can knock down shots from this three, and you saw him in their last game. He was on fire.
Free throw line jumper by Bullock. Rodney Bullock leading the way for Providence. He has 8.
And you cannot give Rodney Bullock that look. That was way too easy defensively. Houston did not run back and put enough pressure on the Friars.
And again, a whistle away from the ball. Explain, Tim, if you would attempt to, the strategy there, as it's a bench warning on Kelvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars, as the officials are talking to Kelvin Sampson about. Well, what's the thinking for Ed Cooley not starting a guy like Kyron Cartwright if he's healthy enough to play and you sub him in midway through the
Well,
quarter?
I think you want to get a feel for the game. That's all. You want to see where your team is, and you watch a million hours of tape on a team, but you really don't get a feel how your team matches up against a team you don't know from out of conference until you step out onto the floor. And I think he knows this is an important game, and if Cartwright can play at all, put him in there if you need him. And he sees that, listen, Houston's got a lot of good guards. We're going to need Cartwright tonight to win the game.
Rob Gray trying to connect on his first field goal, and he does. 6 points for Rob Gray, who comes into this game averaging nearly 20.5 per game.
Rob Gray, again, that's the improved Rob Gray, just taking his time and being patient, and then Houston, pesky on defense.
Here's Brooks. He already knocked one down. There's another by Armani Brooks. Part of a 13-3 run for the Houston Cougars. Their lead is up to 9. Welsh, we've been waiting for Houston to get going offensively, and we've seen it the last 2 trips, Tim.
Well, this is what Rob Gray does. He finds a little gap in your defense, and he makes you pay. And Armani Brooks is just, he is the last couple possessions and the last couple games just feeling it from downtown. And good-looking sophomore. He's got the long arms, and there's Rob Gray, the improved Rob Gray. Makes a bucket, but also the next possession down gets someone else involved.
Cougars bench outscoring Providence 13-2 right now.
Providence not taking care of the basketball. And they've got this long zone, but they've got to get out on the perimeter a little bit tighter to the shooters of Houston.
7 turnovers for Providence already in this game. Nice feed again, and a missed opportunity by Chris Harris Jr., but it'll stay Houston ball.
Well, that was way too easy for Houston, and Providence very fortunate that the Cougars missed that. Now again, Davis, that's wide open. That's what happens when teams don't play zone. If you try to play it for a long time, you'll find the leaks, but Bullock answers.
Rodney Bullock has 11 to lead all scores. He is keeping Providence in this game.
He's been aggressive, and that's what Ed Cooley needs, especially until Cartwright gets okay with that ankle. And he's giving it a go out there, but he's not. He doesn't look like he's moving too good.
First made three-pointer by Providence, and off the bounce, Galen Robinson Jr. Nice looking move for his 4th point of the game.
Right now, Houston is just slicing up this zone. I mean, when you can go from the top of the key all the way to the rim with no resistance, there's an issue with your defense.
Cartwright to the freshman Watson.
Watson usually finishes that, but that time he got caught a little bit under the rim and didn't have a nice angle to finish.
Gray, a look at a 3. Second effort by Devin Davis. Bullock, he's had the hot hand. Second effort by Jalen Lindsey. Whistle and a foul on the floor. Calling on Brooks. Providence hanging around. Kelvin Sampson's team, though, leading by 8. fill it up. They can shoot it from behind the arc as well, Tim. 42% as a team, and they've gotten going here.
Well, they've been impressive tonight, Kevin, because they've gotten their shots not only in transition, but against the set defense. And Providence right now is struggling to defend in the half court with that zone, but I give Houston more credit than disparaging Providence's efforts, because Houston is just being patient. They've got the shooters on the perimeter. That's tough to defend. You've got good passers in Davis and guys that can finish around the rim as well. So you start to leak out against a guy like Ray, and he's improved, as we said, as far as being a distributor this year, and they're sharing the ball right now and making shots.
This, of course, a neutral site game, but really there are no home games for the Houston Cougars this season as Jalen Lindsey knocks down the first free throw. They're renovating the former Hoff-Hines Pavilion. It's undergoing a $60 million facelift to become the Fertitta Center for the 2018-2019 season. So Houston's playing its home games on the campus of Texas Southern this year. What kind of, outside of the obvious, what kind of challenges does that present, Kelvin
Well,
Sampson?
I think normally that does present a challenge, and Cincinnati's is kind of in the same boat with their arena being renovated. So you have to just get adjusted early. You have to try to get over there and practice. And talking to Kelvin, he said they've been really good in accommodating to get us in there to not only play the games, but to practice as well and get used to the facility. And listen, they look darn good against Arkansas in that building, so they seem to have no problem.
And, you know, maybe in some ways that better prepares you for some road games if you're playing in an environment that's not entirely familiar to you. Meantime, Providence here, Tim, making an effort to get back in this game. They have a chance to cut this lead to 4.
Well, Eddie Cooley's trying to make it a street fight. There's no doubt about it. And in the last couple timeouts, he really got into his team about, you know, getting tough again, because Houston went unencumbered on a few different possessions all the way from the top of the key to the rim, and Ed's trying to tighten that up.
Bullock has had the hot hand. He's got 11. Friars again content to take this shot clock under 10. Bullock, contested jumper that time, and the rebound into the arms of Armani Brooks.
An important possession here for Houston, because they started to distance themselves, and now the Friars are feeling like they can go into the locker room with a little momentum if they can get a stop.
Rob Gray held in check by his standards anyway, but he'll have a chance to head back to the line, where he's already 4 for 4. First foul called on Jalen Lindsey.
Well, that's what he does. He gets to the free throw line about 6 or 7 times per game, and he finds a way, even against a tall, long Lindsey. Lindsey is a really good defender. I thought did a pretty good job there, but Gray somehow found the contact.
Well, coming up on the Zales halftime report, our pals Carl Ravitch, Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams in studio. Some early game highlights. Rob Gray, the reigning AAC scoring champion. First Houston player to lead his conference in scoring since Aubrey Coleman back in the 2009-2010 season.
You've got Seth off the couch during the holiday season, making him work a little bit tonight. That's nice. Always impressive, as long as he doesn't have that god-awful ugly sweater on he's been wearing lately.
Both he and Jay have taken some major liberties in the early season here.
I know what to give him for a holiday gift.
We do, yes.
New sweater.
I had a chance to chat with Seth on SportsCenter last night as Khalif Young makes the free throw. We had a chance to talk about the performance of Trae Young yesterday, Tim. 26 points, 22 assists. The nation's leading scorer and assist man right now.
Well, when you look at the Big 12 as a whole, I think clearly it's the best conference in the country so far to date. The SEC is and the ACC are right there as well. But the Big 12, what they've done with Oklahoma emerging as a player nationally, and Trae Young is the answer, because he's a guy that is unstoppable as a scorer, but he showed he can play down at the other end too as far as distributing the basketball.
A good two-man game last trip down. Breon Brady converts, and the lead back up to 8 for Houston.
Although Joe may disagree. Joe Lenardi's got about 11 teams from the ACC in his bracket, so that argument will continue all season long, I'm sure.
You know it will. Offensive foul called on Young. His first. Well, Friday we'll have another star-studded NBA doubleheader to tip off your weekend. DeAndre Jordan and the Clippers in Houston to take on James Harden, Chris Paul, and the surging Rockets. 14 straight wins, and then we head to Oracle, Lonzo and the Lakers going up against Kevin Durant and the Golden State Warriors, who themselves have won 9 games in a row. Coverage tips on NBA Countdown, 7:30 Eastern on ESPN.
Press, the Friars brought a nice group of fans down from the Ocean State to a nice dinner and watch some great basketball. About an hour's drive from Prague. There they are.
They support their team.
Winner tie.
Winner tie, that's right. And how about we talked about it off the top, but Ed Cooley in his 7th season now, Tim, 4 straight trips to the NCAA tournament, and they're reloading again. They've got a top 30 recruiting class coming in.
Well, Ed Cooley, you can't say enough about what he's done, and the numbers speak for themselves. And he took a program over really that was going in the wrong direction, but he turned it around very quickly.
And a nice defensive stop out of the timeout. Now a chance for Providence to chip away some more. Undermanned Friars team.
See if we can maybe get Lindsay on a little pick and pop here on the perimeter at the end of the clock.
Now the 15 to shoot it. Isaiah Jackson gives it up. Jalen Lindsay, there you call for it. Good look. But he doesn't make the shot, and now Houston will hold for 1.
Let's see what Eddie Cooley does defensively here against Rob Gray, because you know what they're going to do at the end of the clock. They're going to set a little middle ball screen for Rob Gray and let him go to work.
Gray tries a long 3, way off the mark.
Kelvin Sampson did not like that shot.
Looks like he settled there for that long 3. Gray held in check, relatively speaking. 7 points in the first half. Bench points dominated by the Houston Cougars as they take a 31-23 lead into the half. Ravi, Seth, and Jay will join us here coming up for the halftime report. From Mohegan Sun, the Houston Cougars a 31-23 halftime lead. We're at halftime. The Houston Cougars a 31-23 lead over the Providence Friars. And we take a look at first half stats. Rob Gray, the leading scorer on this Houston team, 7 points, but Tim, just 1 field goal in the first half.
Providence has done a very good job defensively. They've done a nice job of switching out on Gray, giving him some different looks with length, and also changing defenses, playing the zone. But Providence's problem, you know, it's been Rodney Bullock or nothing. And, you know, without Kyron Cartwright at full speed, they have really struggled in the half court to run stuff, and they don't get anything in transition.
Well, you made a good point in the first half that Providence has been able to get set defensively. So when Kelvin Sampson's talking to his team, how does he change that?
Well, he's got to keep pushing the ball to the floor, but he's got to make sure they run good half-court offense. And, you know, he was mad at Gray on a couple possessions late in the first half for taking, you know, probably some quick shots or some contested shots. And you have to live and die with that a little bit with Rob Gray, because that's who he is. But Kelvin wants them to keep sharing the basketball while still being aggressive.
Providence 8-3 coming into this game. Houston 9-2 overall. 8 wins in their last 9 games. Here's big wide body Breon Brady over the freshman Watson.
It was good defense by Nate Watson. Just held his ground inside and built a wall. Brady couldn't finish over the top.
Providence shorthanded. They played most of the first half without Kyron Cartwright. Here's Bullock. His pass batted away. 7 on the shot clock.
See, more importantly, Cartwright, he's such a good distributor of the basketball, but not only that, he's by far their best passer. Without him on the floor, they really don't have a good creator, a guy that can make things happen. And there you see, he draws the foul there, Ashton Langford, but he still has not learned the position of playing point guard at the highest level.
Second foul called on Breon Brown, and you're right, Makai Ashton Langford kind of bailout foul that time, and he'll head to the line to shoot a pair.
Cool, he's clapping on the sideline. I'm not sure he likes that quick shot by Langford, but he'll take it, and that's what he does. He gets to the free throw line. He's got a good knack of finding angles and getting all the way to the rim.
First point of the game for Makai Ashton Langford. He's come out of that Brewster Academy program that has just churned out so many outstanding Division I college basketball players.
You know, as a point guard, 46% from the free throw line. That has to get better.
Must get better, you're right. Second effort by Galen Robinson Jr., but it's kept alive by Robinson. And now Davis Jr. tries a three. Another second effort. Here's Zana. Look at Houston go after the offensive glass, and it'll stay Cougars ball.
Houston imposing their will on the glass. A little undersized, but a lot of toughness from the Cougs.
Here's Gray all the way to the bucket this time. Rob Gray, his second field goal, and he has a chance to extend this lead to 10.
Talk about making something out of nothing. Just that little hesitation. They go underneath the screen. He comes at the big guy and finds a way to get through that little crack in the door.
Foul called on Watson, his first. And here is Gray. Free throw goes down for a guy that shoots it at 85% from the line. And here we go, first double-digit lead of the game for Houston.
Well, that's just a great example, Kevin, of what Rob Gray does. That's why he's so good, because really there was nothing there, but he just found a way to get all the way to the rim.
Last touched by Devin Davis, who will stay with the Friars.
Yeah, Isaiah Jackson is 6'6" and 225 pounds. He did a good job of going underneath the screen, and Watson came over with the help at 6'10", and Gray found a way to get the shot off right in between the two bigs.
How good has our doubleheader been? This is the first double-digit lead in either game right now. St. John's winning the opener over St. Joe's, 77-73.
Thomas has had good success in this building. And Florida State here a couple years ago, in Notre Dame on back-to-back nights, and earlier this year in an exhibition game played very well in defeating UConn. And Cooley's knows what he's dealing with, though, and Cartwright is so important to this team. He's got to get him right for the league.
Ashton Langford all the way. Nice move by Makai Ashton Langford.
That's what he does. We just talked about those long arms with great body control.
Corey Davis misfires, and a strong rebound by Jalen Lindsey. Bullock steps into a three. And an offensive foul called on Khalif Young. Correction, get it on Jalen Lindsey, his second.
Rodney Bullock might have been just a step out of his range. He's a solid three-point shooter. He's a better 15 to 17-point shooter, but I think Ed Cooley liked it. Out of transition, you got to try to make that shot, because Bullock, he wants him to be aggressive.
Handoff to Gray, kept alive again by Zana. Gray again all the way.
Well, that all started with Gray's dribble penetration and drawing that secondary defender, which allowed the backside to offensive rebound, and then they did a great job of kicking the ball and reversing it before Providence could reset their D.
Just like that, Rob Gray is up to 12 points to lead all scorers in this game. Jumper by Jackson is tipped. And Houston now, Tim, a chance to open this lead up to its largest of the game.
Oh, forced by Jackson. He was not open.
Gray hangs in the air, absorbs the contact, and finishes.
He draws the contact, absorbs the contact, and just the great body control and strength to finish in the lane.
When you watch him play, we love to compare people to other players, but when you watch Rob Gray and the way he scores the ball, does he remind you of anybody?
Well, when you talk about Trae Young, I like the way Trae Young plays at Oklahoma. They both have that kind of in and out. Hesitation can go inside and score, can score from the perimeter, and they're constantly keeping you off balance. But that's a great question, Kevin. I'll have to put that in my memory bank and think about it during the next break, because Rob Gray kind of is a unusual type player. If you ask Kelvin Sampson the same question, he's like, I'm not sure, because Kelvin Sampson has really, we've seen a lot of Houston the last couple of years and gone to practices. He stays on Rob Gray constantly, and you can see the improvement from last year to this year just from his coaching.
Well, it's borne fruit, right? I mean, he's the reigning scoring leader in the American Conference. He's got all 8 Houston points, but that 3 was desperately needed by Bullock and the Friars.
Well, that's a good sign, because Bullock has really come out to play tonight for Prov.
Robinson answers for Houston.
Again, the impressive offensive intelligence of Houston, settling down against that zone, getting the shot they want.
Ashton Langford steps into one. Now Providence is struggling to find any scoring outside of Rodney Bullock. And here's an open 3 for Armani Brooks. They say he's a microwave scorer, Tim.
Well, that's what happens, though, when you take bad shots on one end. You don't get your defense set back on the other, and Ashton Langford took an ill-advised 3. He's not a good three-point shooter. He's only made 2 on the entire season. Quicken the shot clock, and then Providence never got their defense back and set to contest on the perimeter against Brooks.
Dangerous point in this game for the Friars. Good position down low by Khalif Young. Whistle and a foul on the Cougars. 14 for Rob Gray. The lead is up to 15 for Houston.
ESPN's exclusive presentation.
Rob Gray had 7 points in the first half. He's really found his offense in the second half.
Is he a point guard? Is he a 2 guard? Seth Greenberg would call him a ball guard, because he just balls, and that's what he does. And he scores when when the lights come on, and he doesn't get frustrated if he doesn't score. And Kelvin barks at him over there, and he just keeps playing. And as I said before, he really takes coaching well. And I don't think that was the case when he first arrived. And he wasn't ready for Kelvin Sampson, and it took a while to adjust, but it's really paid off.
He's gone for 19 points or more in 7 of the 10 games he's appeared in this season. And his play here in the second half has helped Houston open up a 15-point lead. And again, a dangerous point in this game for Providence. Bullock in the paint. They needed that. And Rodney Bullock has had an explosive game for the Friars. He's up to 16 points.
Well, I'm not sure why Houston doubled Nate Watson. He was really off the block, but they sent the double. But Watson had the presence of mind to turn and really throw a nice pass to a diving Bullock. And that's what Kelvin Sampson is saying. Like, why are we trapping him down in the box? Play one-on-one.
Bullock has 17 of the Friars' 32 points. Providence has switched out of the zone, Tim. They're back to that man-to-man.
Well, they've got to be gritty. They've got to get out on the perimeter, and a lot tighter than that.
Armani Brooks, 4th three-pointer of the game. He's got 12, and the lead is back to 15.
There is the secret weapon off the bench emerging for Houston. Armani Brooks from the three-point line.
Edwards give it up. Bullock, why not? And an over-the-back call on Nate Watson.
Well, Houston has to adjust their defense and make sure that they're staying really airtight onto Rodney Bullock without Kyron Cartwright on the floor. You know, Jalen Lindsey is a threat from the perimeter, but really, they don't have another go-to guy out there. And Bullock is the guy that can get Providence back in this game.
There's Fabian White into the game for the Cougars. He sets the screen. Robinson all the way. Tough, strong move by Galen Robinson.
That's what he does. He is just a terrific driver to the rim. He doesn't shoot the ball from the outside. He runs the team, but that time showing some power in the lane.
He was second in the American in assists last season with nearly 5 per game. He's got 8 points here. Lindsey's shot gets the members roll, and Ed Cooley a quick timeout. 14-point Houston lead. We'll take a timeout. We'll be right back. ESPN app. Where does the scoring come from for the Providence Friars outside of Rodney Bullock, Tim Welsh?
Well, the great Friar pep band trying to pep up the Friars, and Jalen Lindsey can pep them up if he can step up and make some threes from the perimeter. And he has that ability. And Houston in that timeout, I'm sure Kelvin Sampson said, listen, we got to get up on Lindsey's shoe tops and don't let him feel comfortable from the outside, because Providence is used to coming back from this number. Not against the Houston, but they're still dangerous. Cartwright is now back in the game.
If you're just joining us, Kyron Cartwright did not start. Top assist man of the team, dealing with an ankle injury. He did come on midway through the first half, and a foul is called on Cartwright, his first. He's the engine that makes this Providence team run. And what did you think of this call right here on Kyron?
Well, I wouldn't think it's worth much, but he did get it going on the arm, and it's hard to take the ball out of Galen Robinson's hands, so it looked like a foul.
Here's Gray, given an inch, and Rob Gray buries the three.
Rob Gray at 6'1", just shooting right over the top of Cartwright. Cartwright playing off a little bit, concerned about the drive. Gray locked it in.
You cannot give him an inch. He's got 11 of his 18 points here in the second half, and Houston has made its last 7 field goals.
Providence coaches want a foul. They think Houston's grabbing them off the ball and then just trying to force the issue inside, running the flex.
Here he is again. Gray all the way to the bucket. Gray has exploded here in the second half. He's got 20, and the lead is back up to 19.
Rob Gray, as we said before, doesn't need a lot of room. And if you don't get back and get your defense set and help on the drives, he'll find a way to make you pay.
This was a tight one in the first half, but Houston's skill and depth playing a factor here as we have dipped under 13 minutes here. The Houston Cougars have an 8-day break after this one today. They get to enjoy Christmas and then ramp up for conference play in the American. They'll be in Tampa December 28th to take on USF to get things going. And then, Tim, they finish up the year against the Temple Owls.
Well, as we talked about earlier with Joe Lenardi, Wichita State and Cincinnati clearly look like the top 2 with SMU right there with them. But Temple has improved as well. And Brian Gregory, I like what he's doing at USF. He is going to get that program going. They're going to be hard-nosed and a tough out as well.
You talked about Kelvin Sampson wearing that tie in the first half. The ties come off, right? And maybe it was a spirited halftime speech to his team. Whatever he said, it certainly has worked. And there's Gray one more time. Providence just does not have an answer to him.
They are attacking in transition, and that time just a great hit ahead by Robinson.
Whistle and a foul on Fabian White. Boy, the Cougars have really turned up the heat offensively. They made their last 8 field goals.
Well, that was just way too easy, and Eddie Cooley's not happy with his club right now. They're not sprinting back on defense and making it difficult for Houston to attack.
Ashton Langford, contact on the drive, and he'll head to the line. Rob Gray has turned it up. He leads all scorers with 22. Houston leads it by Tim. Rob Gray is outscoring Providence 15-12 by himself here in the second half, but Armani Brooks' shooting has been one of the differences in this game.
Well, this cures a lot of problems when you're not running good offense. You have a guy just step out and lock down threes. And when you talk to Kelvin Sampson and ask him about Armani Brooks, he says one thing: shooter. And they find a way to get him open out on the perimeter. And you know, some of it has been Houston doing a really good job in transition and running good offense. And a lot of it, though, has been Providence not running back and getting their defense set and paying attention to Armani Brooks.
He was among the top 10 freshmen in program history in a single season in three-pointers attempted, made, and his three-point shooting percentage. Again, his teammates call him a microwave scorer a la Vinnie Johnson, and he's been lighting it up here for the Cougars. Here is Brooks on cue.
Better job of contesting, getting up in his face, taking away his rhythm.
Ashton Langford batted away, but maybe some contact on the way up with the body by Brooks. He's whistled for the foul.
Ashton Langford does such a good job of getting all the way to the rim and then getting his body tangled up in the defender, and really nothing there, and not a good shot, but it's a good shot if you get fouled.
All right, so coach, a 20-point game. You know your team is shorthanded. You're dealing with injuries. What's the message to your team to try to get back in this game?
Well, on Sunday against Stony Brook, they were deep down late in the game, and they put the secret weapon in a walk-on, Tom Planick, and they put the press on, and it rattled Stony Brook. But that's a different cat than playing Houston. There's no question about it on a neutral floor, even though Providence has a lot of fans in the building tonight. Now you see they're trying to extend and force the issue against Houston. The problem doing this against Houston, it plays to their strength. They have the three guards. They like to play fast. They want to play in the open court. So Providence has to be careful with their pressure.
Down to 7 on the shot clock. Here's Gray, who has just been on fire of late. Another deep three by Gray. And finally a stop by Providence. Ashton Langford trying to provide the spark. Here's Davis all the way, drops it off. Harris, second effort, and he'll head to the line.
Providence fouls on Farmer. That's Rodney Bullock.
Foul on Bullock is his third, sixth on the team. And it sends Chris Harris Jr. to the line. He's a guy who actually started more than half of the Cougars games a season ago.
Chris Harris, you see his good hands. He's got to get a little bit better from that spot on the floor, but nice job in recognition of sliding to that open area when Corey Davis drove the lane. And again, you see the danger of getting the game going into an up and down type game, which Ed Cooley didn't want to do because he knows that is what Houston really wants to do.
.8 Houston lead. Bullock has been such a fantastic scorer for the Friars. He's up to 20 points.
Well, that was a good play. And nice offense by Providence. Set that little flare screen. Houston did a poor job of getting over the top and making Bullock put it on the floor.
6-0 run for the Friars and a chance to extend that. Bullock one more time. Look at Rodney Bullock. It's now an 8-0 run, and Tim, he's been the guy for Providence.
Well, I said to Ed Cooley today at shoot around, Bullock looks like he has been more consistent as of late, and he said he is in a really good place for us right now. He's becoming more aggressive and more confident doing things not only on the three-point line, but around the rim.
He earned a spot on the 2K Classic All-Tournament team earlier this season. The MVP of that tournament was Kyron Cartwright. They've needed Bullock scoring in such a big way, and he's got more than half of the Friars' points tonight with 22.
Well, he's ready to score when he catches the ball, and he's doing it without Kyron Cartwright trying to find him out there on the floor, and I think his teammates are understanding he is now the go-to guy.
Well, the go-to spot on New Year's Day is the college football playoff semifinals on ESPN. Number 3 Georgia, number 2 Oklahoma kick things off in the Rose Bowl game from Pasadena at 5 Eastern. And then it's number 4 Alabama and number 1 Clemson in the All-State Sugar Bowl from the Superdome in New Orleans. Both games streaming live on the ESPN app. The lead was 21. Largest of the game with 12 minutes to go, but in the last 2 minutes, Providence has chipped away and they've got it down to 13.
Well, they're checking on a substitution situation now, but Ed Cooley, you see, he's a little bit less upset than he was about 5 minutes ago because his team's showing a little spark and a little life, not only with grit, but their offensive flow has been much better, and also getting back on defense and getting their defense set and slowing down Rob Gray.
They stay in the full court pressure. Here's Davis. Van Beck gives it up to Gray, who's the high man in this game with 22.
Good job by Providence, though, not extending too much to allow Houston an open opportunity.
Van Beck all the way. Another stop by the Friars. Possession arrow favors Providence.
Well, that was really good defense by Providence. Ed Cooley extended the pressure but didn't gamble. They didn't trap. They just pushed up and waited for Houston to possibly make a mistake. They didn't, but they still had their defense set in the half court. Gave great help on the dribble penetration, and Van Beck was contested at the rim.
Houston had made 9 consecutive field goals, but they've missed their last 5, and Providence in the midst of an 8-0 run. Drew Edwards. Foul on Galen Robinson, his first, but 8th team foul, so it will send Drew Edwards to the line to shoot 1-1 and Tim a chance to cut the lead down to 11.
Well, I think their guards are being more aggressive too in the last 5 to 6 minutes, where they're just taking their time, but they're waiting to attack on ball reversal, hence they're getting to the free throw line.
Edwards misses the free throw, and then it gets stuck between the rim and the backboard.
Which gives Providence a chance to extend the pressure. Now Rob Gray is going to attack as they throw over the top.
And a foul there, and he mixes it up with Alpha Diallo, who's played sparingly in this one. Diallo, like Cartwright, nursing the ankle injuries, and you see players lock arms, and Gray took exception a bit.
Rob Gray is he's like a mosquito out there, Kevin. You know, he's annoying. He really is, and it's a good annoying if you're on Houston, because he just is constantly in motion and just finds a way to get points that get fouled.
You mean that in only the nicest way,
Of
right?
course.
This game was on the verge of being a blowout. Houston well in control, and Providence has hung around, as we said, uglied it up. Diallo spin move into the paint. Oh, he missed a real easy opportunity, and Gray gets it out in front. Robinson lays it in.
Well, there's a pass Rob Gray probably wouldn't have made or couldn't have made a year ago, but now his court vision has improved to such where he and Robinson are playing in sync, and that time just a perfect delivery in transition.
First points for the Cougars in nearly 4 minutes. Here's Lindsey. Big three for Jalen Lindsey.
Good recognition, and Lindsey as well, spotting up on the weak side. That's his game, catch and shoot.
Friars have trailed by as many as 21. The lead is down to 12. Nice feed. Zana fouled on his way up. He'll head to the free throw line when we come back. The Friars hanging around. They trail by 12.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Basketball Hall of Fame, where the game never ends.
Tim, the UH program received more than 20,000 pairs of shoes and 200,000 shirts from 49 states and Canada.
It was unbelievable what Kelvin and his staff and program, his daughter Lauren, just what they did for the city, and everybody came together down there. But it was amazing. Kelvin told me, he said, I never realized the response that we would get. We didn't have any room. At one point he said, okay, that's enough. We have too much. But just really some great efforts by him and his staff. You see his son there, Kellen, as well.
And the benevolence of the Houston program, of course, what J.J. Watt did in terms of fundraising for the city, and sort of galvanized the city to see the Houston Astros on their way to the World Series championship. It's been a fantastic effort by Kelvin Sampson and his staff. And for an area that is still very much rebuilding, and we wish all the folks down in the Gulf Coast area, especially this time of year, our very best. 13-point lead. Lindsay tries another one. Jump ball situation, and it will stay with the Friars. And I think Rob Gray may have had a point. It looked like Isaiah Jackson went up top.
That was a good set that they ran to free up Jalen Lindsay on the perimeter. And Providence to get back in this game has run better half-court offense, but they're also playing grittier. And you see it on that offensive rebound. And they're playing tougher, and that's what that guy does. You know, he challenges his players at every moment not to get out toughed or outworked. And now they're back playing a little bit grittier.
Here's Edwards. Nice feed. Khalif Young finishes, and it's back down to 11.
Presence of mind by Edwards to understand that Young was slipping in from the backside, and Providence hanging around.
Davis all the way to the bucket. Did Houston need that from Corey Davis?
Drew Edwards has done a nice job at the top of the press, presenting himself with good defense, but here offensively, a nice job on the drive and dish to the big fella.
Well, momentum was very much on the Providence side, but a big three-point play by Corey Davis Jr. extends the lead back up to 14.
It's very hard to come back against Houston because you have to keep scoring almost on every possession because you're not going to slow them down for long.
Three off the mark by Edwards. Here's Gray, calling his own number all the way. They fight for it, and it's last touched by the knee of Zion.
That's one of those plays that Kelvin Sampson, he will bring back to the film room later and say, Rob, we want you to be aggressive, but you have to understand when the defense closes, not to force the issue.
Well, what's the balance for a coach when you're dealing with a guy who is your leading scorer and the reigning conference scoring leader?
Well, you can't be on him for every bad shot. There's no doubt about it. But the game comes down to crunch time. You have to understand time and score a little bit. And obviously, they're not going to pull the ball out and try to hold the basketball. They want to still be aggressive, but he has to have a better feeling when the defense does close the door, like they did on that possession, to kick the ball out.
Well, that's the last thing that Ed Cooley wants to see is Drew Edwards limping to the sideline. This is a team that's dealing with all sorts of injuries, and yet they are still hanging around here with Houston. Bullock down low, strong move. Bullock's got 24.
An array of moves tonight by Rodney Bullock. That time the little jump hook on the back to the basket move.
Davis trapped in the corner. And a timeout by Houston. Tim, Providence may not win this game, but Ed Cooley's going to look at this tape and say, you know what, we showed fight throughout.
Well, there shouldn't be balance in their offense when you have a guy like this. They have to make sure he touches it because he's made a lot of good decisions with the basketball. When the defense is closed on him, he hasn't forced the issue in there. He shot the ball from the outside. He shot the ball from mid-range, and there you see the nice jump hook on the base.
Well, bowl season rolls along Thursday night with the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl. The Temple Owls battle the 8-4 Florida International Panthers at the Trop. 8 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and streaming on the ESPN app. Rodney Bullock came into this game averaging just under 15 points per game. He has been the guy for Providence with 24.
Houston needs to keep the ball out of that corner area against this pressure. You see the length of Providence could be give Houston a problem with those traps, and that time they had to burn a timeout with 6 minutes to go, and probably not what Kelvin Sampson wants at this point.
Three on the shot clock. Gray, does he recognize it? One on the shot clock. Didn't get it off in time, and another stop on the defensive end by the Friars.
Well, that really irritates you as a coach. You burn a timeout with 6 minutes to go because you get trapped in the corner, which you probably don't want to do. Now you only have one left in the game. Then you come out of the timeout and you don't get a shot.
Providence can cut this lead to 10, maybe even single digits. Great feed and great defense by Houston that time.
Well, the problem there was Khalif Young brought the ball down where the little guys can take it away.
Keep that play in mind. 12-point game. They had a chance to cut it to 10. It was just the second Providence turnover this half, but a heads-up play by Houston on the defensive end. And now a three by Corey Davis. Here's Jackson. Draws the double team. Isaiah Jackson off the window, and it's down to 10.
I was about to say there's nowhere to go. Jackson needs to pitch it out and look for Rodney Bullock, but he found something out of nothing. A strong move inside.
Gutty efforts by Providence as the Friar faithful come to their feet. Here's Gray. Tries to go one-on-one. Offensive foul on Houston.
Right now, Providence's defense has tightened the screws on Houston. They're not allowing that Rob Gray dribble penetration into the gaps, and they're getting to the free throw line on the other end.
That is number 5 on Nurazana. And so the big body for Houston is fouled out of the game.
On the rebounds, on a push from behind, and Houston has become a little frustrated. They're not getting any in transition because Providence is scoring, and they're setting up that soft pressure and making them kind of slow the game down. And then in the half court, they're doing a really good job of containing the dribble penetration, forcing to the sideline, and contesting shots.
Houston led by as many as 21 here in the second half. At the 12-minute mark of the second half. But since then, Providence has chipped away, hung around, slugged it out. They've gotten a fabulous effort from Rodney Bullock, and they have a chance to cut this lead down to 8.
Well, the other part of that, Kevin, is not only their defense, but they're getting some other guys to help a little bit, and that's all they need. You can't be all Rodney Bullock. Jalen Lindsey's made a couple shots. You know, Ashton Langford's got to the free throw line. Young made a good play. Edwards made a good play. And you saw Jackson in the last couple possessions stepping up as well.
He knocks down both. It is an 8-point game with 4.5 to go.
I like what Ed Cooley's doing. He's pressing, but it's a conservative press just to kind of get a feel, make Houston take a little time off the clock, and there's a chippy foul.
And Gray split the double team.
Houston fouls on Chris Harris.
And they get it on
Well, that's
Makai Ashton Langford.
Sorry, Kevin. That's the danger, though, of extending at all against Rob Gray, because here he finds that little gap, and if you reach at all, he makes it look like a foul, even if it isn't one.
He's 6'1", 185, but he plays stronger, Tim, doesn't he?
He really does, and he's really worked on his body. They've got a great strength and conditioning program, and You know, he's gotten better shape from when he first showed up on campus, and which has led to better decision making on the offensive end and ability to stay in the game longer, but also his defense has improved. He actually gets in his stance this year. Kelvin would tell you a year ago, not so much.
Whistle and a foul called on Breon Brady, and again it will send Providence to the line. Third foul on Brady. Already Zana has fouled out. Brady with 3. And here's Khalif Young at the free throw line. Again, a chance to cut this lead to single digits.
Providence really has a bright future with their bigs, Watson and Young. Really, Ashton Langford as well.
Last touched by Brady. It'll stay Providence ball. All right, so 10-point game, 4:10 to go. What do you want to see?
Well, I think for Providence, it's time to look back to Bullock. And Devin Davis is on him right now. Get him in the post, see what he can do. Maybe right out of this is him inbounds, or set a screen for him on the perimeter. See if you can find him open for a 3. I just like to run a little back screen play. Maybe they'll run that. Looks like they're going to run that for Bullock right here.
Here is Bullock. Thought about a jab step, and the jumper too strong. And Houston clears.
Well, there's no doubt that the play from the bench was to go through Rodney Bullock. A good decision on his part. He squared up on the perimeter, but really good defense by Devin Davis.
Baseline jumper by Davis. Rebound into the arms of Isaiah Jackson.
Davis really quiet tonight, but that is his shot on the baseline.
Bullock lost it. Fought for by the Friars. Battle on the ground, and the possession arrow says Houston. Providence trailing by 10 with 3:22 to go. Tim Welsh, I'm not sure Ed Cooley's team wants to make a habit of this, but they have trailed by a big deficit before and come back to win.
They did it on Sunday against Stony Brook, and it was really, they were dead in the water and came out and started pressing and trapping, and the building got going. And the building tonight is obviously a favorable building for Providence, but Rob Gray, they've got to keep him under control. And, you know, they're doing a nice job on the offensive end. In the first half, they just had nothing in the half court when they didn't get out in transition. But the second half, they've had better balance to get back in this game. Not only player-wise, but where they're getting their points. From the free throw line, a little bit in transition. They're going down to the low box, and they're also getting some stuff from the perimeter as well.
And they have used this full court pressure really throughout the second half. It hasn't altered too much of what Houston has wanted to do, but it slowed them down a bit.
It has, and it's made them use a lot of the clock. And here they have to be careful, though, of trapping, because if they get in the open court, and there's a great steal.
Lindsay takes it away. Here's Bullock. Ashton Langford back to Rodney Bullock, a 3. Ooh, that would have been a big one for Providence. They could have cut the lead down to 7.
Well, Bullock's been asked to do a lot. It looked like his legs were a little heavy on that one, a little short on the perimeter.
Gray is the high man for Houston. He has 24. 17 of them have come here in the second half. He gives it up. Davis, 5 on the shot clock. Here's Robinson. Fought for. Into the arms of Isaiah Jackson. Whistle.
I don't know how you come out of that scrum with a foul. Everybody's going straight up in the air for the basketball. Just a lot of hustle and a lot of effort and grit, and Kelvin Sampson can't believe it.
He can't believe the foul was called on Devin Davis. That is his 4th.
You know, Davis came crashing in from the weak side. And give Providence, again, their defense a lot of credit, just forcing Houston into a tough shot at the end of the clock.
Now, this has been one of the bugaboos for Providence in this game. Free throw shooting. Isaiah Jackson knocks down the first. Providence had been 11 of 19 from the line. And to think, if they had shot it better from the free throw line, given all of the obstacles that they've had to overcome in this game, it might even be closer than a 9-point game.
There's no doubt about it. But this will allow Providence to set up their pressure. But Kevin, I think what Houston needs to do against this pressure, they're being a little bit too conservative against it. They're trying to get the ball up without turning it over. You need to do that. But I think they need to be aggressive and try to go to score.
Davis.
See, that's a shot Brooks knocked down, and right now they're just pitching it back out. They're using a lot of the clock, but they're also losing a little bit of their rhythm on offense by waiting so long.
Gray is taking his time. He's watched by Jackson. 10 on the shot clock. 5 on the shot clock. Here is Brooks. Providence has a chance to cut this lead to 6, maybe 5.
And the building is starting to give them a little energy as well. They're playing confidently on the defensive end. Now they need to get the ball into Bullock on the offensive end.
They're trying to establish Bullock, and here he is. He draws the double team. Tried to find Diallo, who could not come up with it.
That was a pretty good look, but Diallo just waited for the ball. He didn't come to meet the pass, and Houston was able to get their hand in to force the turnover.
And Gray content to bleed this clock down. Under 1:20 to go. Robinson. Davis off the glass, and that may be the one that puts Providence away.
Wow, that was a really good recognition of Davis and Rob Gray. They sent the double at Gray. Gray had the presence of mind to pitch it to the weak side of the floor to the open man.
Here's Diallo, a 3. Rebound skied for by Devin Davis, and he draws the foul. And that may just be all she wrote here in Uncasville.
Well, this started with Rob Gray, and Houston did a good job of being patient, running the clock down, and they reversed the floor after Gray felt the double on the weak side, and then a nice move off the glass. Davis driving it to the rim.
Davis has not scored, but 9 rebounds here on the game as the fans begin to file out of Mohegan Sun.
Where are you going? The game's not over. Providence is used to coming back, but Houston is a polished team right now, playing with a lot of confidence. That win over Arkansas, I think, will hang their hat on that win for a long time. And I think not only in the win column, but how they did it with just a lot of different guys scoring, and tonight as well. I mean, Providence really gave them all they wanted, especially defensively. They gave different looks. Ed Cooley had a really good game plan, but Rob Gray and company are a tough out.
I should point out there are extracurricular activities at Mohegan Sun, and maybe that's what some of the fans are headed to do right now. Game effort by the Providence Friars. Really a gutty, gritty performance by a team that's been undermanned, dealing with all sorts of injuries, and they hung around. Houston led by 21. Providence cut the lead down to 8, but just too much Rob Gray and Houston here in the second half. Gray with 17 of his 24 coming after halftime, and Houston, Tim, will move to 10-2 on the season. 9 of their last 10 have been victories.
Well, they're peaking. For this time of year, it's a nice win because you want to start playing well and understanding who you are as a team heading into conference play. And everyone's records are different according to what schedule they play. And you look at like a Georgetown hasn't played a strong schedule, but I think they're a very, very good team. Some teams have played really hard schedules and they don't have as good a record. But I think Houston has a nice balance to their schedule. They know who they are. There's a big win tonight, even against a Providence team that was shorthanded.
Houston will open conference play on the 28th against USF. Jalen Lindsey drills the 3. He's up to 11 points on the game. Lindsey's played well. Bullock has been the star. Ed Cooley's going to compliment his team for their gutty play in the second half, but the Houston Cougars were just too much. Fabulous shooting performance by Armani Brooks. Rob Gray, and the Houston offense just too powerful, and Kelvin Sampson's going to leave the state of Connecticut with another victory, 70-59 over the Friars.
Well, Houston is going to be a pain in the neck in the American Conference. Wichita State, Cincinnati, and SMU are at the top, but Houston is right there on the next level.
Rob Gray leads the way. Houston moves to 10-2 on the year. We'll come back to wrap things up from Mohegan Sun Arena after this.